is my communications final speech. These are my beautiful adoptive family that will be my audience today, and also the cute girl in the corner that's recording. So I will start. Theater. What's the big deal anyways? When theater is thought of, one usually thinks of pubescent teenagers trying to find themselves while hoping their voice doesn't crack on the money note or making googly eyes at other cast members backstage. Or the extreme opposite, Broadway, full of stars, seasoned actors, and technicians. No one ever thinks of the tears, pain, dedication, and struggle that goes into any show and the love and passion for the stage. Theater is a collaborative form of fine art that uses live performers to present the experience of a real or imagined event before a live audience in a specific place, often a stage. The performers may communicate this experience to the audience through combinations of gesture, speech, song, music, and dance. Theater has been around for forever, decades upon decades. So why, when most things go out of style within a few years, let alone centuries, why is theater still so popular today and even a growing industry? Theater can be used to tell of stories, warnings, happy endings, not so happy endings, and can make the weight of the world seem so light upon the audience's shoulders for a few short hours. Being a part of any theatrical performance, you have the expectation to bring the audience into your world and rid them of their lives and bring them into the lives of the characters. It can change you. Theater teaches us about ourselves. It helps us understand how our minds and the minds of others work. It helps us to see how the environment in which we live affect who we are and who we will become. For a performance to happen, anywhere from 100 to 1,000 or more people need to gather in one place for a couple of hours and share together in witnessing and contemplating an event that may be beautiful, funny, moving, thought-provoking, or hopefully at least diverting. And in an age where most of our communication happens in front of a screen, this gathering function of theater is, in and of itself, something that matters. Theater is a cultural space where society examines itself in a mirror. Theater has long been looked at as a laboratory in which we can study the problems that confront society and attempt to solve those problems. It helps us see the bigger picture and helps the audience understand things going on in the world today. For example, Rent. Rent is the late 90s Pulitzer Prize winning hit Broadway musical about people living, dealing, and trying to survive with HIV and AIDS. Rent is so many things to so many people. It was the first musical in decades that young audiences really identified with, that speaks in their voice, which voices their concerns and tackles their issues. It breathed new commercial life into the Broadway musical, possibly signaling the beginning of the end of the great divide between pop music and theater music, which has existed since the advent of rock and roll in the 1950s. Even the title means different things to people. It can represent the financial burden young people feel as they graduate college full of knowledge, but absent of any marketable job skills, thrown into a real world where high ideals don't pay the rent. But the title also highlights the temporary nature of these characters' lives, the month-to-month living without permanence or promises. The characters Collins and Angel sing to each other in the song I'll Cover You that though love can't be bought, at least it can be rented. And the words and the words rent also mean torn. And certainly the characters in the show are torn between conflicting desires, between comfort and idealism, between love and dignity, between anger and pain, between the fear of intimacy and the fear of getting hurt. The word rent means shredded in grief or rage. It means split apart when it describes communities, families, or other relationships. And it also means torn open by painful feelings, something nearly every character in the show feels at some point. And all the complexity of that simple four-letter word parallels the construction of this fascinating musical. The performance of theater is a universal cultural phenomenon.
Smashing it down.
The performance of theater is a universal cultural phenomenon that exists in every society around the world. Human beings are the only species that create theater. Understanding theater helps us understand what it means to be human. So much of the toxicity in this world comes from a collective draining of empathy. We don't understand each other and we don't want to. but theater invites us, possibly even forces us, to empathize. Are you okay? Theater influences the way we think and feel about our own lives and encourages us to take a hard look at ourselves, our values, and our behavior. Speaking more generally, isn't this one of the things we go to theater for? To measure our own lives against the lives we see depicted on the stage? To imagine what it would be like if we had those lives instead? And isn't it a very short step from there to saying, gee, maybe there's something I should change about my own life? And it may have nothing to do with the message that the playwright wanted to deliver. Maybe the play is about a fierce battle over a family dinner that breaks the family apart over irreconcilable political divisions. But maybe you watch the play and say, gosh, wouldn't it be nice to at least have a family dinner once in a while? So you decide to plan one for the next month. Theater teaches us how to express ourselves more effectively. It develops our ability to communicate our thoughts and feelings to others, improving our relationships and improving the world around us. That's what art is all about, expression. When you perform, you may be playing or pretending to be someone else, but to make that character more believable and not just a character, you have to know what they know, feel what they feel, cry when they would cry, and see what they would see and how they would see it, and how it would represent to them. You essentially have to become that person by projecting and expressing yourself through that character. Certain art activities promote growth in positive social skills, including self-confidence, self-control, conflict resolution, collaboration, empathy, and social tolerance. Research evidence demonstrates these benefits apply to all students, not just the gifted and talented. The arts, not just theater and performing, can and will benefit the lives of everyone else, and also yourself. I would also like to close with this quote from P.S. Baber from Cassie Draws the Universe. The stage is a magical circle where only the most real things happen, a neutral territory outside the jurisdiction of fate, where stars may be crossed with impunity. A truer and more real place does not exist in the universe. The end.